Filippi, thank you for coming in today.
Happy to be here, Kate. Thank you.
Just had one of your colleagues from the Minority Caucus talking about his legislation. This is Representative Russo, to get rid of red light cameras, speed cameras, and you've got video about this debate even going back years.
Yeah. On I think you type in my name on YouTube, a video will come up which has about 15 minutes of the House debate on the speed enforcement camera system from 2 years ago. And I urge everyone to watch it because we predicted a lot of the problems that we're facing now. Unfortunately, we predicted what happened.
Do you think that the rollout in Providence has really compounded this issue? Folks have seen cameras all across the state, but we've seen since beginning of February, 5 cameras, now 11 in Providence. Just the sheer number of tickets. Do you think that's kind of part and parcel of what's putting this squarely in the spotlight now, by seeing how much Providence is making off of these speed cameras now?
Yeah, I think it's staggering. And I think when you see the numbers and you really think about it, it isn't about safety. If it was really about speed, they put in speed bumps. I mean, it's a revenue source. And I think we just need to be honest with ourselves and admit that's what it is. If they want people to slow down, there's other ways that don't suck money out of people's pockets. I think it's problematic. We should never have passed it. I support Rep. Russo's bills to eliminate speed cameras. And I also have a couple here too to fix it. One would require all monies to be put into a restricted receipt account for school safety. And then the next one would require big flashing yellow lights anytime one of these speed enforcement camera systems is used.
I mean, you talk about the yellow lights before we go into the restricted funds. I mean, one of the big arguments is folks who are going to pay these tickets at municipal court in Providence are saying, we know where they are, but didn't see them. Is the state and municipalities not doing an adequate job of making this, if they want it, the safety issue, really aware to drivers?
Well, if the drivers are saying they're not seeing the signs, I believe them. I drove by the one on Blackstone Boulevard yesterday, and I thought it did have a large sign. But I think before we do automated policing, there should be much more than just a sign. I think it should be a flashing yellow light warning people that they're coming to an area that is patrolled by automated policing. Because I think automated policing is a problem. It's a problem for a free society to have, and I think we need to be very careful when we roll out these systems.
And we've had debates, and there have been debates up here about tolls and just the capturing of information. Is there a concern about all the information that's being captured on these cameras as well?
Yeah, I think it is. I know the ACLU took a position that there needs to be high protections for people's data. I know when we had the toll debate, that was one of the big issues we raised, is not being able to use this data for general law enforcement purposes, or even to use the data to give out speeding tickets or other traffic violations. And that was actually an amendment we put forward on the toll debate, was to limit the ability of the tolls to give tickets, and that amendment was unfortunately defeated. So I think in this day and age, everyone should be concerned about data privacy.
So what do you think about the prospects for these pieces of legislation from Representative Russo, the ones you talked about here? We've seen a lot of furor in the public about the same arguments you're putting forth about why these need to be pulled back. If there's hearings, do you expect the overwhelming majority of folks would be in support of this legislation you put forward?
I think they would. I think people are just turned off by the speed enforcement cameras. And I mean, I don't want to say I told you so, but go watch the video from 2 years ago. Everything we said has come to pass. And I think now that there's a lot of public pressure against these, I think you will see some changes. I just hope they're dramatic changes, frankly, eliminating them. And if not eliminating them, curtailing their use or limiting what the funds can be used for, because there is a moral hazard when you have these systems and the money goes into the general fund to be spent by politicians as they please. And that's kind of the scenario we have now.
And that's the other piece of legislation that you have as well, literally in your hands.
Yeah, in my hands. So it basically says that any monies other than the expense of running the system will be put into a restricted receipt account for the purported purpose of the cameras, which is school safety. And school safety is an issue irrespective of the cameras. And so we hope to maybe fix both problems with this piece of legislation: school safety and the moral hazard of using these cameras as a general revenue source.
I want to tack, we were here last week at the State House. There was an event for an Inspector General piece of legislation put forth here. What's your thoughts on the Inspector General proposal? Speaker of the House, Nicholas Mattiello, said, look, I understand the office is supposed to recoup some savings if they identify graft or fraud, but he's got concerns about the cost to launch the office. What's your thoughts on the Inspector General?
Well, I think you'll see every year where an Inspector General has been instituted, there has been tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in savings. I think that Inspector General is the right move. I don't remember the number of states that have them. It's a large number. It's a proposal that's been put forth by the Minority Caucus probably for about 6 years. I think we have to do it. And if it doesn't work, if Speaker Mattiello's predictions come to pass, we can just repeal the law. If the Inspector General is wasting us money and not saving us money, we have the power in this building to eliminate the office. I think we need to try.
Okay, finally, while we have you here, any additional pieces of legislation or policy you want to discuss while I'm live?
Well, I think one of the more important bills we have, and it's something I've put in the past 3 years, is to institute a system of instant runoff voting where no candidate gets a majority of the votes. I think you saw in 2012, our governor was elected with 36%. In 2016, with 2010.
10 and 14.
10 and 14. Sorry, 10 and 14. Time flies.
Thank you, presidential.
Yeah. 10 was 36%, and in 14 it was 40%. And I just think that's problematic for our republic. People need to obtain a clear majority. If they don't get a clear majority, I think they lack the public mandate to effectively govern. So that's something I think that people need to continuously pay attention to, especially now where we have such a crowded gubernatorial field. I think there's a substantial chance that our next governor won't win 50%, and that's just a big problem.
Again, it is getting more crowded. You can go on GoLocal today to see about our breakdown for Matt Brown potentially entering the race as an independent. But Whip Blake Filippi, I appreciate your taking the time to come on live today. We're going to be right back with the House Minority Leader. Don't go anywhere.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Kate.